Hi everybody, I'm Brianna Stilts and I will be giving my intercultural speech today. So my topic is going to be about how people raised in adoption can sometimes have a different point of view on life and be raised very differently. So the reason I chose this is because my mother, who I look up to, she is the strongest person I know. So she has a big impact on my life and has taught me and taught herself ways that you shouldn't treat other people and how you should treat people. So some questions I asked her. The first question I asked was, describe your childhood in 3 words. Of course, she says rough, loveless, and traumatic. With that being said, this is a touchy subject for her, but she's strong. She's very strong to get through this. So then again, I asked her, what are some major changes in your life? So she said that she moved to a different state and she lost both of her adopted parents. Then she got married, met my dad, had me and my sister, moved to a different county and worked in a bank for almost 9 years or so and became assistant manager at Amazon. So with that being said, from her life then to now has changed amazingly. She grew up, she is a Christian. She's a Christian now, did not have a godly family whenever she was younger. And the effects that happened in the past changed her life now. So then I asked, what meals were you given when you were younger? And she said she had homemade meals. It was pinto beans and the basic country meal, but sometimes she would maybe go without it and have to sneak and eat. So she would maybe just have a glass of milk a day, and she was desperately trying to not get caught. She was abused if you couldn't catch it. That's why she had to find food. She had to think for her food. Rough situation. And now I asked who do you look up to? She said the person that she looks up to the most was her adopted dad and her aunt. And she says, although my adopted dad was he was in prison in and out, for being known as one of the biggest drug dealers and bootleggers around at the time, and he was always showing her what a true dad would be like, though, on the other side of that. He was honestly a loving person, even though his secrets. But her aunt would always come and take her to her house in Indiana, and she would treat her better to get her away from everything going on at home. And her aunt knew she was being abused, but couldn't do nothing about it. But then she goes on, and then I had asked, what have you learned from your past? She says that she has always learned to try and treat others with compassion. Compassion is a huge thing to her. Most people in a abusive home life, they say that you don't, grow to be a compassionate person. You grow to what you were raised by. But my mom learned to grow out of that when she became a Christian and taught her stuff. And so she also learned to be a tougher person. And another thing that she learned was that she never let me or my sister be treated the way she was and grow up in a home of love. So the last question I asked was, what advice would you give someone who is going through the situation you went through? And so she said, that she would tell someone going through what she did to never hold a grudge against those who harmed her, who harmed you. It will end up bad. And she also says to stand tall and never let it consume you. These types of situations can make you or break you. So don't let it break you. Rise above it and prove to yourself you are better than those who hurt you. God has a bigger plan for you. So that's my mom. As I said, she has a huge past and it can be painful. She's learned from the pain. She had to fight for her food. But some things I learned that always have courage, and honestly, growing up in a Christian home, obviously, I learned from that. She's just my hero and everything. So, thank you for your time. I hope you have learned something from my speech, and I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you. I would also like to add that there is a 57% chance of becoming an abusive person after you have been in an abusive situation in your past life. And with that being said, there's another reason why my mom is a survivor.